My dad picked his new wife, let her trash talk my kids while squatting in the cabin I paid for. So I hit them with a lesson they'll never see coming. I'm Ethan Carter, and I thought I had it all under control. My life, my kids, my sanity. But that night, as the moon hung low over the jagged peaks of Blackthorn Ridge, Oregon, everything I'd built came crashing down. I was standing in my backyard, the air thick with the scent of pine and charcoal from the grill, when a pain sliced through my side like a butcher's knife. It wasn't just a twinge, it was a scream from my body, raw and unrelenting. I popped some Advil, muttered, "Suck it up," under my breath, and flipped the burgers for Lily and Noah, my kids, who were chasing fireflies under the string lights. I figured it was just a pulled muscle from hauling lumber at my carpentry shop. I'm 32, a single dad, and I've been holding it together for 3 years since my ex, Rachel, bailed on us without so much as a goodbye note. Lily's 9, all sharp wit and quiet strength, and Noah's 6, a whirlwind of giggles with a peanut allergy that could send him to the ER faster than you can say epinephrine. We've got a rhythm. Work hard, love harder. But that night, as the pain clawed deeper, I knew I was in trouble. Big trouble. Blackthorn Ridge isn't your postcard-perfect Oregon town. It's a gritty speck on the map, nestled between dense forests and a winding river that cuts through the valley like a scar. My place is a modest split level on the edge of town, with a sagging porch and a backyard that backs up to a wall of evergreens. The neighbors are good folks, loggers, teachers, small business owners, but everyone's got their own battles, and nobody's got time to babysit your kids on a whim. That's why, when the pain hit me like a freight train at 2 a.m., I was sweating bullets on my bathroom floor, not just from the agony, but from the panic. Who the hell was going to look after Lily and Noah if I ended up in the hospital? By dawn, I couldn't even stand straight. I dragged myself to my truck, the sky a bruised purple over the ridge, and drove to Blackthorn's urgent care, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. The doc took one look at me, pale, hunched, barely coherent, and his face went stone-cold serious. "Your appendix is about to rupture," he said, already motioning for a nurse. "We're prepping you for emergency surgery, now." My heart didn't just sink, it plummeted. Surgery? Fine, cut me open, whatever. But my kids? They were at home, probably still asleep, thinking I'd be there to make pancakes like every Saturday. My neighbor, Mrs. Callahan, a retired librarian with a soft spot for Noah's bad jokes, agreed to watch them until noon, but she had her own grandkids coming over. My usual sitter, Jen, was off in Portland visiting her sister. I was out of options, and the IV dripping into my arm wasn't helping me think straight. That's when I made the call I'd been dreading. My sister, Ava. We're not close. Never have been. Not since Mom died of cancer when I was 20, leaving a hole in our family that never healed. Dad remarried Sylvia 2 years later, a woman who swept into our lives like a wrecking ball, turning our family cabin on the banks of the Sable River into her personal Pinterest board. The cabin was Mom's pride and joy, a cozy retreat with cedar walls and a wraparound porch, where she'd read us bedtime stories under the stars. Sylvia stripped out the wildflower quilts, replaced them with sleek leather furniture, and paved over Mom's herb garden for a hot tub. I was in college then, working 2 jobs, barely holding it together, and Sylvia had the nerve to tell me I was wallowing in grief. Ava, though? She latched onto Sylvia like a lifeline, bonding over wine tastings and spa days. They became besties, while I was the black sheep who didn't fit their glossy Instagram vibe. Ava's always been Dad's golden girl, the one who could do no wrong. She's 29 now, still chasing her dream of being a TikTok influencer, posting videos of herself in designer sunglasses with my kids as props. Lily and Noah love the attention. She buys them trendy outfits, takes them to hipster cafes for photo ops, but it's all for show. Ava's love is as shallow as her follower count. Still, with no one else to call, I dialed her number, my voice shaking as the pain meds started to kick in. Ava, I'm in a bind. I need emergency surgery, appendix. Can you watch Lily and Noah for a couple days? I'll be out by Monday. The line went quiet. Then I heard her sigh, sharp and annoyed, like I'd asked her to scrub my floors. Ethan, I've got plans this weekend. Big plans. A brand collab in Seattle. I bit back a curse. Ava, I'm literally being wheeled into surgery, please. Another sigh, then the tap-tap of her fake nails on her phone. Fine, but you owe me. And you better have food in the house. I'm not playing personal chef. I scribbled a note for her before they took me to the OR, my hands trembling. Noah's peanut allergy was at the top in red ink. No nuts, no peanut butter, nothing even close. I listed Lily's bedtime routine, the number for their pediatrician, and where I kept the spare key. My buddy Nate, a mechanic who's been my rock since the divorce, swung by to take the kids from Mrs. Callahan to our place, where Ava would meet them. As the anesthesia pulled me under, I clung to the hope that Ava, for once, would step up. The surgery went fine. Standard appendectomy, the doc said. But then a post-op infection hit me like a sledgehammer. My fever spiked to 103 degrees Fahrenheit, and for 2 days, I was out of it, floating in a haze of pain meds and hospital beeps. When I finally came to, groggy but coherent, I checked my phone. A few texts from Ava with pictures of the kids smiling, nothing alarming. I figured they were okay. I was wrong. So wrong. Nate picked me up 5 days later, his face tight with worry. Man, Ava's not at your place, he said as we pulled out of the hospital lot. Her kid, Logan, 16, barely old enough to drive, is watching Lily and Noah. My stomach lurched, and it wasn't the incision. What do you mean Logan's watching them? Where's Ava? Nate gripped the steering wheel. Logan said she asked him to check in while she handled something important. He's been coming by after school, but he's not staying overnight. My vision blurred, not from the meds, but from rage. My kids, alone, for days. We sped through Blackthorn Ridge, past the neon-lit diner and the old sawmill, the river glinting under the midday sun. My house was a disaster zone. Pizza boxes littered the living room, soda cans spilled on the coffee table, and the air smelled like sour milk. Lily ran to me, her eyes red and puffy, wrapping her arms around me despite my wince from the surgical scar. Noah was curled up on the couch, wrapped in a stained blanket, his face flushed and his arms dotted with a rash. "Daddy, Noah's sick," Lily whispered, her voice breaking. "I tried to take care of him like you do." Logan, slouched in the recliner, mumbled, "Sorry, Uncle Ethan." Mom said she'd be back, but then she called and said she had to go to Seattle for some influencer thing. I checked Noah's temperature, 102 degrees Fahrenheit at least. The rash was unmistakable, a telltale sign of his peanut allergy. My care instructions were still on the kitchen counter, untouched, the red ink screaming about his allergy. Lily, my brave little girl, had been climbing onto the counter to get his meds, guessing at doses because no one was there to help. Even our dog Rusty was whining by his empty water bowl. I sent Noah to urgent care with Nate while I sat with Lily. her small hands trembling as she told me how scared she'd been. "I didn't know what to do, Daddy," she said. "Noah kept crying, and I couldn't find Aunt Ava." I called Ava, my blood boiling. She answered from what sounded like a rooftop bar, laughter and clinking glasses in the background. "Ethan, chill. The kids are fine, aren't they? I got a last-minute invite to this huge creator event. My followers are blowing up." I could barely speak. "Noah's sick, Ava. He's got a rash from peanuts. You left them with a teenager." She laughed. Actually laughed. "God, you're so dramatic. They're alive, right? I'm building my career here." I told her I'd call CPS if she ever pulled this again. Her tone went icy. "Go ahead. Dad'll lose it if you drag the family through that. How's that gonna look, Ethan? Can't even handle your own kids." I hung up, shaking. Then I called Dad. Big mistake. He was at the cabin, probably sipping coffee on the porch I paid for. "You're overreacting," he said, his voice dripping with disdain. "Ava's chasing her dreams. Kids need to toughen up. When you were 6, I had you chopping firewood." I told him Noah could have gone into anaphylactic shock. "Well, he didn't, did he?" he snapped. "You've always been too sensitive. Not like Ava. Maybe if you'd made something of yourself instead of playing single dad, you wouldn't be dragging her down." That was it. The final straw. These weren't my family. They were leeches, sucking me dry while putting my kids in danger. I cut them off. No calls, no texts, no family dinners. Just me, Lily, and Noah against the world. But there's something you need to know about the cabin by the Sable River. It's mine. After Mom died, Dad couldn't afford to buy out my half of her estate, so I took out a mortgage and bought the place to keep him there. It's a beautiful spot. Golden light filtering through the pines, the river's soft rush in the background. But it's been a weight on my shoulders. I let Dad and Sylvia live there for next to nothing, $500 a month when market rent would have been triple that. I did it because he's my dad, because it was Mom's dream to keep that cabin in the family. But Sylvia turned it into her personal playground, ripping out Mom's herb garden, painting over the mural she'd done in my old room. And Dad? He let her. Worse, he resented me for it. Resented that his failure of a son was bankrolling his life while Ava, his perfect daughter, contributed nothing but TikTok dances. The cabin wasn't just a house. It was a symbol of everything broken in our family. Dad's grief turned him bitter, and instead of facing it, he poured all his hopes into Ava, the daughter who'd never challenge him, never outshine him. Me? I was the reminder of his shortcomings, the one who stepped up when he couldn't. And Ava? She moved back into the cabin after college, finding herself, while I paid the bills. I was raising 2 kids in a shoebox rental in town, scraping by after the divorce, while they lived large in a home I owned. It wasn't fair, but I'd swallowed it for years, until Ava left my kids to fend for themselves. Thanksgiving was coming, the big family shindig at the cabin. Dad texted me a week before, "Hey, let's put this behind us. Dinner at 4 on Thursday, everyone's coming, time to move on." No apology, just the usual guilt trip. I knew what this was about. They were scared I'd pull the plug on their free ride. No more cheap rent, no more bailing Ava out of her credit card debt. No more Ethan the doormat. I called my Uncle Jack, the only one who's ever had my back. When Rachel left, Jack was there with groceries, helping me figure out how to braid Lily's hair, sitting with me when I was too broken to talk. I told him what Ava did, how Dad defended her. "Are you kidding me?" he said, his voice low with anger. "They left a 9-year-old to play nurse? That's not just messed up, Ethan. That's dangerous. I told him. I wasn't going to Thanksgiving. Good call, he said. But heads up, they'll spin this to make you the bad guy. Sure enough, my cousin Mia texted me the next day. Dude, you're not coming? Dad's telling everyone you're too busy working, and Ava's saying you're jealous of her success. I laughed bitterly and gave Mia the real story. She was floored. Holy crap, Ethan. That's next level messed up. FYI, Ava's planning to live stream the whole dinner for her TikTok. She's calling it her family vibes content. That's when the idea hit me. Ava's obsession with her online image was her weakness. I asked Mia to keep an eye on the live stream, maybe record it. She was all in, ready to see the drama unfold. I spent the week digging through old bank statements. Ava owed me $12,000 in loans over the years. Money for music festivals, car repairs, emergencies that always seemed to coincide with her latest shopping spree. I sent it all to my lawyer, asking what I could do. More than you think, he replied. Let's talk after the holiday. I also made a list of every service I was still paying for. The family phone plan, the cabin's internet and cable, Ava's car insurance, because apparently setting up her own was too hard. They thought they could erase me, pretend I didn't exist. I was about to remind them who held the cards. The night before Thanksgiving, Lily found me in the kitchen, stirring mac and cheese. Are we going to Grandpa's tomorrow? She asked, her eyes searching mine. I knelt down, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Not this year, kiddo. We're doing our own thing. Movies, maybe some pie at the diner. She nodded, then said quietly, Is it because Aunt Ava was mean to us? My heart stopped. Kids see everything. Partly, I said, and because we need a break from that side of the family. She looked relieved, then dropped a bomb. Ava gave Noah peanut butter candy. She said he was faking his allergy to get attention. I told her to stop, but she called me a baby. My vision went red. Ava hadn't just neglected my kids. She'd deliberately put Noah's life at risk. And then, in a voice so small it broke me, Lily added, She said Grandma would want me to keep family secrets. That good girls don't tell. I pulled her into a hug, my voice steady despite the rage. Grandma would never want you to hide something that hurts you or Noah. Never. And neither do I. Thanksgiving morning, I took the kids to see a new animated flick at the Blackthorn Cinema, the old theater with creaky seats and sticky floors. We laughed, ate popcorn, and for a few hours, it was just us. No family drama, no guilt trips. But as we left, my phone buzzed with a text from Mia. Check Ava's TikTok now. It's a train wreck. I waited until the kids were in bed, then pulled up the live stream recording Mia sent. It was pure chaos, and I couldn't look away. The video started with the cabin decked out in Sylvia's tacky Thanksgiving decor. Gold plastic turkeys, string lights shaped like pumpkins. Ava was flitting around, filming everyone, playing the perfect daughter. Dad was carving the turkey, acting like the gracious host in a house he didn't even own. Then Jack stood up, his voice cutting through the chatter like a blade. It's a shame Ethan and the kids aren't here, he said, staring at Dad. But after what Ava did, I don't blame him for staying away. The room froze. Dad tried to laugh it off, mumbling about me being difficult, but Jack wasn't having it. He laid it all bare. How Ava left my kids with a teenager. How Noah got sick. How Dad lied to everyone about why I wasn't there. Ava's face went pale, but she kept filming, too stupid or too vain to stop. Mia chimed in, asking Ava point blank, You left a 9-year-old to care for a 6-year-old? For days? Ava's eyes welled up with crocodile tears. Why is everyone attacking me? They were fine. Ethan's just jealous I'm making something of myself. My cousin Ben, a nurse, stood up, his voice calm but deadly. That's child endangerment. If a patient told me this, I'd have to report it. The live stream caught everything. Relatives gasping, some walking out, others taking sides. And then Ava, in a moment of pure idiocy, was filmed grabbing Lily's jacket and Mom's old silver necklace from the hall closet, whining, "These are mine. I deserve them." Mia dropped the final bomb. "This is Ethan's house. He owns it. You're all here because he lets you." Dad's face turned purple, Sylvia stammered, and the comments on Ava's live stream went wild. "You're a thief! Child neglector. Get out of his house." I didn't sleep that night. Not out of anger, but clarity. These people weren't my family, they were parasites. I logged into every account I was still paying for. Phone plan, internet, cable, Ava's car insurance, and canceled them all. Effective immediately. No warning, no mercy. Then I called my lawyer and told him to start the eviction process. "You've got a strong case," he said. "This is your property, and they've violated every shred of trust." I drove to the cabin the next morning, eviction notice in hand. The Sable River glittered under the gray November sky, but the cabin looked tired, the porch sagging under years of neglect. Dad opened the door, expecting an apology. Instead, I handed him the envelope. "You have 60 days to move out," I said, my voice flat. His jaw dropped, then he started ranting. "This is my home! You can't do this!" Sylvia ran out, sobbing. "Where are we supposed to go?" Ava appeared, phone in hand, filming like this was her next viral moment. "This is harassment!" she screamed. I looked into her camera, calm as ice. "Your followers already saw you steal from a 9-year-old. Oh, and your phones, internet, and insurance? Canceled this morning. You've got about an hour of data left. Good luck." I walked away, their shouts echoing behind me. The river's rush drowned them out, and for the first time in years, I felt free. They thought they could break me, use me, endanger my kids, and I'd just take it. They were wrong. This wasn't revenge. It was justice, and I was just getting started. The air in Blackthorn Ridge was sharp with the promise of winter, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and makes you crave a fire. I stood on the porch of my cabin by the Sable River, the eviction notice delivered, my father's shouts still echoing in my head. I just cut the cord. Phones, internet, Ava's car insurance, all gone with a few clicks. My sister's TikTok empire was crumbling, and my dad's illusions of control were shattered. But as I drove back to my rental in town, the river's dark waters glinting under the November moon, I felt no triumph. Just a hollow certainty that this was only the beginning. They wouldn't go quietly. People like Dad, Sylvia, and Ava never do. The next morning, I woke to a barrage of texts from numbers I didn't recognize. "Ethan, this is cruel. We're family. How are we supposed to live without internet? You're tearing us apart." I blocked them all, my fingers steady but my heart racing. Lily and Noah were at the kitchen table, coloring in their Thanksgiving turkey drawings, oblivious to the storm I'd unleashed. "Daddy, can we get pumpkin pie today?" Noah asked, his eyes bright despite the fading rash on his arms. "You bet, buddy," I said, ruffling his hair. But inside, I was bracing for impact. I'd poked the bear, and the bear was going to bite back. I called my lawyer, Tom, a grizzled guy who'd seen every kind of family mess in his 30 years practicing in Blackthorn. "You've got a solid case," he said. his voice crackling over the phone. The cabin's in your name, mortgage and all. Oregon law gives them 60 days to vacate, but they can fight it. Drag it out with appeals, sob stories to the judge. Be ready for that. I told him about the $12,000 Ava owed me, the loans I'd stupidly handed over for her festival tickets and fake emergencies. File a small claims case, he said. You've got records. It's a slam dunk. But Ethan, watch your back. People this entitled don't just roll over. That afternoon, I took the kids to the Sable River Light Festival, a Blackthorn tradition where the riverbank glows with lanterns and food trucks line the gravel lot. The air smelled of cinnamon and wood smoke, and the crowd buzzed with small-town chatter. Lily clutched my hand, her forest-green scarf flapping in the wind, while Noah darted toward a stand selling hot cocoa piled high with whipped cream. For a moment, it felt like we'd escaped Dad's venom, Ava's betrayal, Sylvia's crocodile tears. But then my phone buzzed with a voicemail from Dad. I shouldn't have listened, but curiosity got the better of me. His voice was low, venomous. You think you're some big shot, Ethan, holding that cabin over my head? I built that life with your mom. You just signed papers. You're nothing but a petty little punk, and you'll regret this. You hear me? You'll regret it. I deleted the message, my jaw tight. Regret? The only thing I regretted was letting them leech off me for years while I scraped by in a rental too small for my kids. But his words stuck, a splinter in my mind. What did he mean by regret? Was it just bluster, or was something darker brewing? I pushed the thought aside, focusing on Noah's grin as he smeared whipped cream on his nose. But the unease lingered, like the first crack of thunder before a storm. By Monday, the fallout from Ava's TikTok livestream was everywhere. My cousin Mia sent me screenshots of the comments. You left kids alone to chase clout? Trash. Stealing a kid's jacket? Low. Ethan deserves better. Ava's follower count was tanking, her brand deal gone. I almost felt bad. Almost. Then I remembered Lily's trembling voice, telling me how Ava fed Noah peanut butter candy, calling him a faker. My pity evaporated. I called Uncle Jack, who'd turned Thanksgiving into a public reckoning. You should have seen their faces, Ethan, he said, chuckling. When Mia said you owned the cabin, your dad looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. Sylvia just kept refilling her wine glass. I thanked him, but my gut twisted. Dad's voicemail kept replaying in my head. You'll regret this. That evening, I sat Lily down after Noah was asleep. The living room was dim, lit only by the glow of a single lamp, the shadows of pine branches dancing on the walls. Sweetheart, I need to ask you something, I said, my voice soft. What else did Aunt Ava say when she was with you guys? Lily fidgeted, picking at her sleeve. She said you were selfish, Daddy. That you didn't care about Grandpa or her. That you only cared about money. My chest tightened. And she said Grandma would be mad at you for not helping family. I took a slow breath, keeping my anger in check. Lily, Grandma loved you and Noah more than anything. She'd want you safe no matter what. And I'm doing this because I love you both. She nodded, but her eyes were wet. I hugged her tight, promising myself I'd shield her from their poison. The next week was a blur of preparation. I met with Tom to file the eviction papers, my hands steady as I signed. He warned me again. They'll try to guilt you, maybe even play dirty. Stay sharp. I started auditing every shared account. Netflix, Hulu, even the electric bill for the cabin I'd been covering when Dad forgot to pay. It added up to thousands over the years. a slow bleed I'd ignored because family comes first. What a load of crap. I also found an email from Sylvia, sent to my entire extended family, painting me as the villain who'd abandoned Dad after Mom's death. Conveniently, she left out the part where I'd been paying their bills since I was 22. I forwarded it to Tom with a single line: "Add this to the file." Then came the first sign of trouble. Wednesday night, I got a call from Mrs. Callahan, the neighbor who'd watched the kids during my surgery. "Ethan, there's a strange car parked outside your place," she said, her voice low. "Been there an hour, just sitting. Tinted windows. No one's gotten out." I peered through my blinds, the street lamp casting a sickly yellow glow on a black SUV across the road. My heart thudded. "Thanks, Mrs. C, I'll handle it." I called Nate, who was at his garage working late. "Dude, can you swing by? Something's off." He was there in 10 minutes, his pickup rumbling into my driveway. The SUV peeled out before he could get a plate number. "Probably just kids messing around," Nate said, but his eyes were uneasy. I didn't buy it. Dad's threat echoed again. "You'll regret this." The next morning, I took the kids to school, scanning the parking lot for that SUV. Nothing. But when I got to my carpentry shop, the lock on the back door was jimmied, and a stack of custom orders, cherry wood cabinets for a client in Portland, was trashed, splintered like someone took a crowbar to them. I called the sheriff, my hands shaking as I surveyed the damage. "Could be random vandalism," Deputy Harris said, scribbling in his notebook. "But this feels personal. You got any enemies, Ethan?" I didn't tell him about Dad or Ava. Not yet. No proof. But the timing? Too perfect. I spent the day salvaging what I could, my mind racing. Were they desperate enough to sabotage my business? To scare me into backing off? That night, I installed security cameras at the house and shop, the kind that upload straight to the cloud. If they were coming for me, I'd catch them. I also called Mia, who'd been my eyes and ears at the cabin. "Ava's losing it," she said. "She's posting cryptic TikToks about betrayal and family secrets. Sylvia's telling everyone you're unhinged, that you're punishing them for your divorce." I laughed, bitter. "Let them spin their story. The truth's out there." Mia hesitated. "Ethan, be careful. I overheard Dad and Sylvia talking about fighting back. They didn't say how, but it didn't sound good." I thanked her and hung up, my stomach churning. Fighting back. What the hell did that mean? The answer came 2 days later. I was picking up Noah from soccer practice when my phone rang. An unknown number. I let it go to voicemail, expecting another guilt trip. Instead, it was a woman's voice, clipped and professional. "Mr. Carter, this is Cheryl from Blackthorn Child Services. We've received a report alleging neglect of your children, Lily and Noah Carter. We need to schedule a home visit immediately." My blood ran cold. Neglect? My kids, who I'd bled for, who I'd protected when Ava left them to fend for themselves. I called back, my voice steady but my heart pounding. "Who filed this?" Cheryl was cagey. "It's confidential, Mr. Carter. But the allegations are serious. We'll be at your home tomorrow at 10 a.m. I hung up, my mind spinning. This wasn't random. This was Ava, or Dad, or both. They couldn't take the cabin, so they were coming for my kids. I called Tom, who was livid. "This is retaliation, Ethan. Classic move. Deflect by accusing you. Don't let them in without me there. I'll bring paperwork showing your custody, your financials, everything." I barely slept, pacing the living room, checking the security feeds every hour. The next morning, Cheryl arrived, a stern woman with a clipboard and a no-nonsense stare. Tom was by my side, a folder of documents in hand. The kids were at school, thank God. I didn't want them seeing this. Cheryl inspected the house, noting the clean kitchen, the stocked fridge, the kids' neatly made beds. "The report claims you left your children unsupervised for days," she said, her eyes flicking to me. I told her the truth, how I'd been in the hospital, how Ava abandoned them, how Lily had to play nurse at 9 years old. Tom handed her hospital records, my care instructions, even screenshots of Ava's live stream. Cheryl's face softened, just a fraction. "We'll investigate the source of the report," she said. "This doesn't add up." As she left, Tom clapped me on the shoulder. "They overplayed their hand. CPS will see through this." But I wasn't so sure. That night I checked the security footage from the shop. At 2:14 a.m., a figure in a hoodie slipped into the frame, face obscured, and spray-painted "deadbeat" across the front window. My hands shook as I saved the clip and sent it to the sheriff. This wasn't just a family feud anymore. This was war. The weeks that followed were a gauntlet. Ava kept posting on TikTok, playing the victim, claiming I'd cut her off out of jealousy. Sylvia showed up at my shop, screaming in the parking lot about how I'd ruined Dad's life, until a customer called the cops. Dad left voicemails alternating between rage and self-pity. "You're killing me, Ethan. Your mother would be ashamed." I blocked them all, but the pressure was suffocating. Then came the letter, slipped under my door in the dead of night. No return address, just a single typed page. "Drop the eviction, or you'll lose more than the cabin." No signature, but I knew Dad's handwriting, the sharp, angry slant of his letters. I turned it over to Tom and the sheriff, who upped patrols around my house. "We're watching, Ethan," Deputy Harris said, "but you need to be careful." I started sleeping with a baseball bat by my bed, checking the cameras, obsessively. Lily noticed, her sharp eyes catching everything. "Are we in trouble, Daddy?" she asked one night, curled up on the couch. I forced a smile. "No, sweetheart, just grown-up stuff. We're good." But we weren't. Not yet. The cabin's 60-day clock was ticking, and they were running out of time. I knew they'd try something desperate. I just didn't know what. Then, 40 days after the eviction notice, I got a call from the property manager I'd hired to check on the cabin. "Ethan, you need to see this," he said, his voice tight. I drove out at dawn, the kids with Nate's wife, Sarah, for the day. The cabin was a wreck. Broken lamps littered the floor, rugs stained with wine, holes punched in the drywall. Sylvia's hot tub was filled with trash, and Mom's old rocking chair, the one she'd nursed me in, was splintered in the backyard. I stood there, the river's rush loud in my ears, and felt a strange calm. This was who they were. Destructive, petty, done. I called Tom. "They're out. Changed the locks today." By evening, the locks were new, the cabin secured. I spent the next week cleaning, repainting, erasing their mess. Lily and Noah helped pick out new furniture. Forest green bedding for Lily's room. A dinosaur lamp for Noah's. We moved in a month later. The cabin transformed. The river sparkled outside, the pines whispering in the breeze. For the first time, it felt like home. Our home. Neighbors stopped by, bringing casseroles and stories of Ava's late-night parties, Dad's shouting matches with Sylvia. "Always thought it was your dad's place," Mr. Jenkins said, shaking his head. "You're a good man, Ethan, for putting up with them so long." 2 months of silence followed, glorious and peaceful. Then Uncle Jack called. Ethan, your dad's in the hospital. Heart attack, it's bad. I froze, the old fishing trips flashing through my mind, Dad teaching me to cast a line, his rare smiles. But then I remembered his voicemail, the threats, the neglect. Is he gonna make it? I asked. They think so, Jack said. He's asking for you. I didn't go right away. I couldn't. But on the third day, I drove to Blackthorn General, the hospital's sterile halls a stark contrast to the warm chaos of my kids' laughter. Dad looked small in the bed, tubes snaking from his arms, his face gray. Ethan, he whispered, eyes glassy. Didn't think you'd come. I didn't respond, just sat there waiting. Then he spoke, his voice breaking. I screwed up, with you, with the kids, with everything. Ava was wrong. I was wrong. I searched his face for the catch, the manipulation, but saw only an old man staring down his own mortality. Sylvia's gone, he said. Took what she could and left. Ava's with some photographer now, chasing followers. I'm alone. I nodded, my throat tight. Get some rest, I said, and walked out. I didn't feel closure, just an ending. I sent flowers when he was discharged, not out of duty, but because it felt right. A week later, I texted him, "We're good, no debts." Forgiveness wasn't about forgetting. It was about letting go. Ava tried reaching out, whining about needing rent money for her fresh start. I replied, "Manifest a job," and blocked her. The cabin was ours now, filled with Lily's books and Noah's dinosaur toys. The river sang outside, the pines stood tall, and for the first time in years, I could breathe. We'd won, not revenge, but freedom. And damn, it felt good.